if there was just one thing that guaranteeably would kill your outdoor business? Believe it or not, there is one thing, and today that is exactly what we're going to be talking about. As always, I'm joined by my friend, my slave at my new homestead, who's got blisters for the first time in his life from real work. So my friends, the slave at my new homestead, my business partner, and the We Get Outdoors business guru, Mr. Mark Hopkins. Welcome as always.
They're actually going. I'm a bit disappointed. I have to pick them, so I get a friendly reminder of what kind of slave driver you were at your homestead.
You're coming back a week on Monday, aren't you?
Shit. Seriously, you're going to beat me again?
Yeah. So he's coming back a week on Monday. It's going to help you lose your man boobs and go and get some more tone on that body of yours. It'd be great.
Hey, my man boobs they're on fire at the moment.
A cups. You've got to progress. Right. I'm at least a C or a D. This is why we're making sports bras for We Get Outdoors. Get out of merino wool. Watch this space next year. Anyway, enough. So, Mark, listen, if I came to you and I said, Mark, in your business, there is one thing that will guaranteedly kill your business, and when you learn to overcome that one thing, actually you're setting your business up for success. What would your attitude be?
I would be all ears. I'd get my checkbook out and I'd go, show me the money.
Cool. And what if I was to then tell you that actually the one thing that could kill your business is nothing to do with the business itself. It's actually all to do with you.
I would probably punch you in the face.
Excellent. And that's the experience I get very frequently from people. But it's the truth. And what we're going to be sharing with you today is the truth. Because the truth is a fear that is held by so many outdoor business owners is actually the thing that is killing their businesses. And that fear is a thought process that they have very quickly, which is, what if it doesn't work? Question mark. And or another question, this won't work for me, or any of those connotations of those questions. And immediately that prevents you from doing what, Mark?
Taking action or moving forward or actually trying something a little bit different than you haven't done in the past.
That's it. The reality is that we've all been brought up through very similar educational systems. Mark and I in the UK, a lot of you folks who are listening to this in the USA or Canada, some people even in Australasia who are watching, listening to this. And we've all been taught there is a right answer for everything. And, by the way, if you don't know the answer to the question, it's at the back of the book. Like, that's how we've been habitualized. And I'm here today to be honest with everybody and say there is no real right answer. There's better answers, there's worse answers, but there is no real right answer. It doesn't exist. The reality is that every business is an experiment. And maybe it's a bit like trying to solve a dreaded illness like cancer, for instance. You know, they've done tens, if not hundreds of thousands of experiments into preventing cancer or curing cancer, and they still don't have the full answer. Yes, they've got advice and guidance they can give about limiting the likelihood of you getting cancer. Yes, they've got protocols and treatments that can help you overcome cancer if you get it, but they still haven't got to the end. And interestingly, business is exactly the same. I firmly believe there is no such thing as a wrong business idea. There's just a business idea that's not put in front of the right people in the right way. And how do we do that? We experiment, we test. And so if we apply the what if it doesn't work or what if it doesn't work for me mindset, Well, really what happens is we don't try anything new, and therefore we don't really or commit to anything new, and therefore we don't get any new results. And I think that is the thing that kills businesses, because I don't know about you, Mark. I don't believe there's such a thing as maintenance in business. I believe that either a business is increasing or decreasing, and there's no middle ground.
It's funny that you say that. So if I look at all the businesses over the last, 20 years of my career, and I go, what is, like, when you put an idea in front of a business, they have two options. Yeah, they go, cool, let's have a go, or no, we're not going to try it. 100 times out of 100, the business that says no is the business that's already failing. And 100 times out of 100, the business that says yes is always the business that's already growing. As you say, it makes no sense. The business that's failing is the business who says no to an idea, a new idea. The business that's succeeding, which, if you think about it, probably would be more likely to say no, because why should we change anything because it's working, are the businesses that say yes. So again, I'm 100% convinced that all businesses that are failing are already saying no to the right ideas. And if you're saying no to the ideas to try something new, be very careful, because in the next 6 months to 12 months, it's likely that your business is going to suffer a little bit of a downward drip.
Now, I've got this little ability where I can predict businesses' futures. I did it with a big business, Mark, that you and I consulted in a few years ago. And I said, this business, its shareholder will end up absorbing all of this business into their business. It doesn't matter that it's been going for 50 years. It'll cease to exist within the next 10 years. And what happened in the last 12 months, Mark?
It's pretty much happened.
It's pretty much happened. And I reckon over the next 18 months, it'll fully happen. We've got a business we've recently been consulting in, and I think we've both agreed a similar thing. And it's all because the business says yes to the wrong idea, yes to the comfortable ideas, and the ideas that don't involve rocking the boat, and it says no to the ideas that may not work. Now, the interesting thing for me is I think we celebrate the wrong things. We almost should be celebrating something not working. Because we're like, okay, it hasn't worked. Great. I now know that this isn't an avenue I go down in the future. I don't try this idea again. We've tried it for 6 months to a year. It hasn't worked. Great. We now know that doesn't work. And it's not that all elements don't work. It's that all the elements linked together in that order don't work. So cool. So maybe we go and try the idea again, and we reshuffle the elements in a different order, and then maybe we come up with a different result. But unless we're willing to do that as a business owner, we're never actually going to move forward. We'll just keep getting what we've got, and probably those results will get progressively worse.
Yeah, if you think about that practically from us, we've spent a lot of money, time, and effort on attracting enthusiast people to get to know about We Get Outdoors. And the first time we did it, it cost us a hell of a lot of money just to get one person. We then launched a product, and it cost us a little bit less money. And then we realized that we could spend the same amount of money and get a load of people, because we got that part of our business so well worked out that we then were able to move on to the next part and go, well, that's not working now, but let's not change this bit, because we've now got the perfect images, the perfect copy. The is absolutely perfect. You can't really improve it any more than it is now. So let's put all our time and effort and attention on the next part, and let's get that bit right. And then, because again, it goes back to what we've talked about previously about like time and focus. You can't be doing a million things at once.
That's it. I mean, the best recent example that we've got is we've got to the point where we can get people to visit a web page of ours for about 5 cents. we can get a qualified customer who's the customer we want visit a web page of ours for about 5 cents, 5 cents American, which I won't be arrogant enough to say it's free, but it's close to free at 5 cents per customer going to our web page. Now, that then means that we've got that bit of that equation, bringing a person into our, let's say, web home. We've got that bit dialed, that like helping them go, oh yeah, I'm curious about this. Because I don't think you're going to get any cheaper or any better at 5 cents. I don't think it's possible to. That goes back to $5 4 years ago when we first started on this, learning about social media marketing, learning about the platform, learning about how to make it work. So whereas everything in the world has got significantly more expensive over the past 4 or 5 years, we've actually brought that cost down 1,000 times by going again, tweaking, learning, going again, tweaking, learning, going again. Are we getting the best we believe we can get out of the people who visit the web pages? No, but that's the next problem to solve. That's the like, cool. So now we can get anybody we want to come to a web page. Check. Now what we've got to go and do is perfect the web page part, that customer experience part. And that's probably going to take another couple of years until we get to that same, at the moment, it's not bad, but it's not where we want it to be. And Mark, I mean, what would have happened after that first horrible, expensive experience of pouring $45,000 into social media marketing that we did, where we got, pardon my French, but fuck all out of the end of it, other than the business now owes $45,000 for something we've got no return out of. Like, what would have happened if we'd have just said, that's it? Actually, social media marketing and online marketing and websites, they don't work. So I'm never going to do that again in the future. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, we definitely wouldn't be where we are now with 80,000 followers and people watching and listening to us. And so I think there's a, let's be honest, you and I had to have a few whiskeys to get over that process. You know, it was a bit of a grief. It was an emotional roller coaster. We're not belittling how painful the actual journey is. And I think it's really important that you don't gloss over the pain that you're going to have to go through. It's not fun losing that much money, but the outcome was we knew exactly how much more profitable we're going to be in the future. So we could have just pressed repeat and bankrupt ourselves. But we dusted ourselves down. We said, right, what are the lessons that we need to learn? How can we try this in a different way to get different answers to the same question? And then that becomes a cycle that we just repeated. And now, like you said, we've gone from a horrific amount of money to 5 cents, which is brilliant.
That's it. So I'd like to offer people, Mark, if fear of what if it doesn't work for me, or what if it doesn't work, or what if it's not right, or whatever else, if that is something that crops into somebody's head ever, I would like to offer them a alternative thought. And that's 3 questions that I think you can ask instead of that one fear. And the first question is, what if it doesn't work? It has to be a question. What if it's an outright failure? And you go, if it's an outright failure, most people say, well, I lost $45,000, which in our case we did. And matter of factly, you as an outdoor business owner may well not lose that much money, but you may well lose 5,000, 3,000. You may well lose something. So that's your worst case scenario, but it's not actually your worst case scenario, because if you go down that route, says, well, if it doesn't work for me, I lose, let's say, $5,000, but I gain the knowledge that X doesn't work. Actually, we know that there's a door that we don't need to step through again in the future, or we don't need to step through it in that way again in the future. So actually, your worst case scenario is you lose some cash and you learn. Like, that's your worst case scenario. And then there's the next question is, well, what's the best case scenario out of this? Well, I mean, you achieve all your goals in a ridiculously short period of time. You know, everything goes incredibly. And if you've got any common sense, you'll realize that that's going to be the best case scenario is probably a 1 in 1,000 opportunity. It could happen, but probably it's a little bit like winning the lottery, or probably better odds than that. But and then there's the middle ground of it doesn't achieve all of my goals in 6 months as opposed to 6 years. But actually, it does make me some money. I do learn a whole bunch of stuff, and I do gain some infrastructure in my business, or I do gain X and Y. So I'm not going to lose the money. I'm going to make some money, and I'm going to have some learning along the way. That's probably the most middle of the road outcome. And I think if we replace in our thought processes everything we previously did with those three things, you'll actually find that there's not many risks when it comes to change, as long as you don't commit to that change for 3 years and say, I'm going to keep doing this for the next 3 years regardless. There isn't much on planet Earth that you'd commit to straight off the bat. It's a bit like dating, I suppose. You don't get married on the first date. Well, maybe you did in Las Vegas, and then with Elvis being the minister, and maybe that ended in divorce. Like, fucking stupid idea. It was definitely it was definitely something else thinking and not the brain. But for most people, hey,
tequila.
But for most people, when it comes to trying something new, you date this person for a bit, you see how it works, and often that could be 3 to 6 months, and then you think I'll date some more, and then you think we'll get engaged, and maybe you might do some trying before you buy, in whatever way you want to do that.
You're going down a rabbit hole here.
What? Straight out of the rabbit hole. But then ultimately you would get married if all of those things, like the dating over let's say 18 months is all going good. You commit another stage, and then that could be an engagement. And then after a period of being engaged for a while, you commit to another stage and you get married. And then after being married for a while, maybe then you buy a house, and then maybe you get some children, have some children. There's a progressive series of layers you go through. And so why would you go and commit to this new idea for 3 years? You shouldn't do. You should go and commit to this new idea for 6 months and see if it works. It needs enough time to be truly tested. And then if it is starting to make some realistic progress, which is probably small over that first 6 months, then we're going to date for a while longer. And I think that if we thought about the world as outdoor business owners in that way, we probably wouldn't end up killing our businesses.
I think that is a pretty good way to summarize what most outdoor businesses need to go away and truly, or the owners need to go away and think about.
Yeah, it's honestly, and I hate to say it, when I look at outdoor businesses that fail or just turn into a barely breaking even for 20 years business, 9 times out of 10, it's the way the business owner thinks about their business and thinks about themselves that actually is the block. It's not actually the business itself or the opportunity that the business has got. It was interesting. I actually consulted in marketing an outdoor business in Seattle for a while. I won't mention its name. And this business, oh my goodness me, when I looked at the opportunities it had, the owners could work a third less, make 18 times more, and solve problems for people, employ. The opportunities in front of them were ginormous. And in the end, a new player in the market came in, basically went and had a go at the ideas that I were coming up with for this business, and then took over most of the market share within about 3 years. Just because they were willing to say, as opposed to what if it doesn't work, they were willing to rephrase that and say, what if it does work?
So if someone's listening to this and going, I need some help on changing a bit of my mindset of breaking out of that fear, what should they do?
So I'm happy, and I always, pretty much every week of the year, give 3 hours a week in 1 hour chunks for free of charge to outdoor business owners as a free consultation. You come and tell me what your challenge is, what your problem is, and we have a go at starting to conquer it together. And so if that's something you'd be curious in, a free bit of business consultation, then there's a link below that you can go click on that opens up a web page, and in there it gives you access to my schedule where you can go and book some time there. Equally, if the thing you most want in your business is to get in front of new customers, there's a link in that same webpage where you can book to come on to our Outdoor Business Promo podcast series, where we interview you about your business, give you the opportunity to sell it and infuse tens of thousands of outdoor enthusiasts across North America about your business. And it's completely free of charge. And you can go and book a time slot to come on our podcast there that would work best for you. Now, you may well be saying, what if it doesn't work? And I'm going to say to you, what if you just got one more customer for that 30 minutes on a podcast? What if an hour with me actually did allow you to get out of your own way and go and make your business successful? What if you could have what you wanted and deserve in terms of the rewards from your business, be it time, money, lifestyle, family? What if you could have all of those things sooner rather than later? What if you could overcome the unseen hurdle that you didn't know was there? And what if all of that was available to you for free of charge, apart from 1 hour of your time?
What if? What if? What if?